In number 1, we're given an equation, and then it says we have to solve. So in this case, they're asking you which property justifies this first step. Well, if you notice, to go from this step to this step, this person multiplied by 2. They distributed over the operation of subtraction. Which value of x results in equal outputs for j of x and b of x? Equal outputs would be, the same y value. Okay, x is your input and y is your output. So, really what we're doing is we're looking for which value of x are these equal. Now, it's kind of difficult to solve an absolute value equation at this time, so what we're going to do is use our calculator. In my calculator, I type 3x minus 2, and then the absolute value of x plus 2. I graph it, and I want to see what the x value is where these points intersect. So I go to second trace, I hit intersect, I move my cursor as close as I can to the point, I hit enter. Where it asks me for the first curve, second curve, and guess, I'm hitting enter, and it says my point is 2, 4. So this is how I get an x value of 2. Number 3 is the difference of two perfect squares. We're going to have binomial factors with a plus and a minus. Now, since both of these numbers are perfect squares, I say the square root of 36 is 6. It goes in these second spot, of your binomials. Square root of 49 is 7. 7 goes here, 7 goes here. The square root of x squared is x and x. Now, the choice for number 3 has plus coming second. That's okay. The commutative property allows me to do so. In number 4, they want you to plug in 8 for all of your x's. Now, you could type this in your calculator and simplify, but if you don't type it in correctly, you are going to get it incorrect. 8 squared is 64, and 1/2 of 64 is 32. 1/4 times 8 is 2. 2 plus 3 is 5, and 32 minus 5 is 27. Choice number 3. In this graph, they're giving a graph of a helicopter's height according to time. During which interval does the helicopter have the slowest average rate of change? Now remember, average rate of change, the average rate of change is slope. Okay? From 0 to 5, it looks like, I'm going to kind of write these out for you. I'm going to find the slope. I'm actually going to evaluate the slope. I'm going to do 46 minus 19 over 0 minus 5. This is the slope formula. y2 minus y1, x2 minus x1. 46 minus 19 is going to be 27 over negative 5. Choice 2, from 5 to 10, I do 20 minus 19 over 10 minus 5. I get 1/5. Choice 3, 10 to 15, is going to be 20 minus 14, and then 10 minus 15. I get 6 over negative 5. And then choice 4, 15 to 20, I get 17 minus 14 over 20 minus 15. I get 3/5. Now, after I've calculated the slope for all of these, I notice that the average rates of change are the following. Now, usually what people will do will pick the lowest number. In this case, it's the most negative number. They'll usually pick that. But you see how this line is actually pretty steep? This is actually decreasing pretty quickly. It's decreasing fast. So the interval where it's not having much rate of change is from 5 to 10. Notice how it's almost kind of like a flat line. There isn't much change. Okay, so don't rely on the negatives. Do the smallest number. What you could do is you could say, think of the absolute value. Look at the positive values to kind of decipher. This would be the smallest one. For number 6, when k is replaced with 1/2 on both of these functions, you will have wider graphs. Remember, when when that k is between 0 and 1, the graph will become wider. But when that k is greater than 1, greater than 1, the graph becomes, we're going to say, narrower. Sorry, my paper's moving on me. In this case, they're asking which equation could represent p of x. Remember, if your 0 is -1, that means that the factor of this function is going to be x plus 1. And if it's positive 2, it's going to be x minus 2. Now, they want you to pick choice number 3. But remember is that if this touches the x-axis at one place, you're going to have a repeated factor. So what that means is you're going to have this. And what you could do is you can square it. Now, what I recommend you do is put this in your calculator in your y equals menu to verify that this looks like this. Which of these does not describe a causal relationship? Now, in this case, we're looking for which of these is not causing the other. Now, the choice number is number 2. The faster a student types a research paper, the more pages a research paper will have. That's not necessarily true. Like, for example, the higher the volume on a radio, the louder, like the higher volume causes the sound to be louder. Okay. Unfortunately, just because you're typing quickly doesn't mean you're typing more. I mean, you could only have a one-page paper. So now with these linear cost functions, I know that the cost of this labor charge, and looks like T is going to be, they don't actually say what T is. Oh, number of hours the job takes is represented by T. So if T is the number of hours, 125 is going to be $125 per hour, and then $95 is going to be your initial cost. This is going to be the rate per hour. So which of these three statements is true? Well, the house fee does cost $95. This is before the guy actually does any work. The plumber charges $125 per hour. And the number of hours the job takes is represented by T.